Keeping reptiles is awesome, that's why all of us do it, but we have a responsibility to the reptiles to be the best keepers we can be. So here are 5 ways you can instantly be a better reptile keeper. My name's Adam, this is Diamond, you're watching Wicked's Wicked Reptiles, stick around. All of these things are really simple and are going to save you tons of time. So not only is this a list of how to instantly make you a better reptile keeper, it's a list of how to instantly just have a better time keeping reptiles and just make your life a little bit easier. So let's start it off with number 5, which is make a schedule for cleaning and feeding. Now here's why. I've got a big collection, so sometimes I maybe won't notice, oh, it's been 8 days instead of 9 since I fed this animal. So if you make a schedule, write it on the glass of their enclosure or on a post-it note beside it in a spreadsheet, however you want to do it, but make a schedule so that you always stick to it and something doesn't slip your mind. And this can even happen if you have a few animals. I know it sounds ridiculous, oh, I would never forget, but life happens and sometimes you do. Sometimes something comes up and you have to be reminded that today is the day that I clean, today is the day that I feed, whatever it is. And overall, it's just gonna make it a lot easier for you because you know on Thursdays I feed this animal, every 10 days I feed this animal, whatever. And this goes especially if you've got different species that need very different things. For example, if you have a Burmese python that gets fed every 6 to 8 weeks, or you have a bearded dragon or a Euromastix that needs fresh greens every other day, or that's how I feed anyway, you might forget that, oh, I haven't fed my bearded dragon in 4 days because you're so used to having an animal that you don't feed for weeks. So maybe it seems ridiculous, but don't discount it. Do it, try it. Put it on a schedule and see how it changes keeping reptiles for you. Number 4, this one is maybe not the easiest, it's kind of time consuming, but it is so worth it. Enrich the enclosures. Now I know that minimalist keeping, there is a place for it, and I'm not saying that having a minimalist rack is always bad. I'm just saying that if you want to be a better keeper, you're going to learn more about your animals. Well, that's how you're going to become a better keeper. And to learn about your animal's natural behavior, you need to give them an option to exhibit that natural behavior. So for example, someone said to me once, oh, I keep my Cayman lizard without a pool of water for them to swim in.
So I am confusion.
And the defense was, well, they exhibit natural behavior. Well, no, they don't, because they can't swim, which is natural behavior. If you have a semi-aquatic animal, you need to give them a semi-aquatic environment. And the same goes, in my opinion, with things like BCIs or spotted pythons or animals that most people, or in days gone by, it was common to keep them on kind of a terrestrial type setup, giving them an option to actually climb. You even see people doing this with reticulated pythons, which although are huge, are semi-arboreal. If you give your animals a chance to climb, you would be surprised how often they take it. Same thing with swimming, and just giving them different options to kind of explore. And every time you clean the cage, if you just change it up a little bit, which is what I do, they're going to explore. It's going to be fun for them to watch. Who knows what's actually going on in their brain? But to me, the fun part is watching them explore and exhibit natural behavior. So yeah, enrich the enclosures. Takes a little bit of time and effort and sometimes money, but I promise it'll make you a better keeper. Number 3, we'll hit on it again because it's very similar to number 5. Log weights and foods. So basically what this means is you have your schedule set, right? So you know that you feed your ball pythons every Wednesday, let's say. If your animal doesn't eat for several weeks, if you don't log that down, you might not even really notice. And then all of a sudden, why does this animal look so skinny? I wonder when the last time they ate was. Because with ball pythons, especially if you've got a larger collection, it might just kind of go unnoticed that it's been too many weeks in a row. Because if your ball python doesn't eat 3-4 weeks in a row, ball pythons do that. It's just part of what happens with them. But if it goes for 5 or 6 or 7 or 8, or depending on the size of your animal, of course, sometimes they can go 9 months or a year. But smaller individuals, or in other circumstances, it might be an issue. So if you log the weight of your animal, say once a month, or I don't know, as often as you want, once every 3 months even, and you log the food so that you know if they've eaten or they haven't eaten, and that just makes your life a whole bunch easier. Now you can use a spreadsheet, which is what I've done for years, or you can use a program like a Husbandry Pro or something like that. I am not sponsored by this company at all, it's just the one that I've decided to try to use because I think it makes the most sense. I just log things like weights and foods, and you can do sheds and poops and stuff if you want, but you'll be a better keeper for it because you'll know all the time at a flick of a button flick of a button, at a pull-up of a spreadsheet, what's going on with your collection, to the very detail. And I think, to me anyway, that would make you a better keeper instantly. Number 2, and if you're a fan of this channel, you knew this was coming, automation. Automate everything. This is such a convenience type of thing. It's almost insane to me that anyone doesn't do this because it is so affordable to do and the time it's going to save you is amazing. What I mean by automation is make things automated, obviously. Use smart plugs, right? So use these smart timers, smart plugs, whatever you want to call them. You can use the Tekken ones or the Govee one. It doesn't matter. I'm not sponsored. I prefer the Tekken and the Govee ones. Those are the ones that I use. And you set them up and you can use it with Google Home, or you can use it with Alexa, or you can use it with whatever it is that you want to use it with. Now my whole house is wired on Google, so if I say the magic words, I can just turn off my reptile room. And when I say that, it responds with turning off 19 things. Everything is automated, which means that the lights go on and off with the sun. So the sun comes up, lights go on. Sun goes off. Sun goes down, lights go off. Or you can set it for whatever time you want. You can set your misters on this as well. I've got a misting system. It is programmed. 12 seconds of spray every 4 hours for my chihuahuas and crested geckos and things like that. Everything. You can see kind of like these red lights. Those are the thermostats that are kind of tucked away there. Those are on the smart timers too, or the smart plugs. So at a certain time, when the lights go off, then the heat goes off too. So I give them a nighttime drop. I can't imagine a world where I'd have to go around every morning and every night manually flicking switches. That would be insane to me. There are certain products like the humidifier linked below. There was a sponsor a few weeks ago where you can set it so that at a certain humidity level, if it gets below say 60%, you want your room to be humid, you've got dart frogs or whatever, it'll trigger from that thermometer hygrometer to that smart humidifier and it'll just start going. The way that technology is right now and everything is so feasible and it is so attainable because everything is kind of like, I don't want to say cheap, but definitely affordable that, I mean, if you are a serious reptile keeper, you gotta automate your room. It's just gonna make life so much easier for you. So I'm very fortunate. I stumbled upon smart plugs and smart technology. It was one of those things like they give you a free Nest thermostat, right? And then all of a sudden you're obsessed and everything in your house is automated. But it works for reptiles. If you're a reptile keeper and you don't automate things, what's 2008 like? Please tell me. There is a link in the description for the ones that I use. I get a couple cents. It's an affiliate link, but I'm not sponsored to say this. Those are the ones I just stand behind. And number 1, dedication to learning. Now this might seem stupid, but if you really think about it, why is it that the way that we kept reptiles 10 years ago is so different than now? Because we learn collectively as a group, we compare notes, and we better each other. There was a time where people wouldn't keep UVB lights on things like blue-tongue skinks and savanna monitors and like things that we know should definitely have it. There was times when we didn't even give a day-night cycle to certain species because they're nocturnal, so they don't need that. We learn constantly, and it is up to you. It is your responsibility as a reptile keeper to stay up to date and make sure that if things change, if science has proven, hey, this animal needs this, hey, we do things a different way now because it's better for the animal, it's on you to know that. And also, it's fun. I like the opportunity to be like, oh, I was wrong about this, and then change the way that I start keeping a species of reptile or a whole collection. If you watch the videos even 2.5 years ago when the channel first started, my room was almost all snake racks. And there's nothing wrong with that. I just prefer the way it looks now. This looks so much better now than it did in 2019. And the reason is people like you who compare notes with people like me. Because although I've been doing this for 12 or 13 years or however long, there's still a lot for me to learn. And I think there is too. If you're a newer keeper, if you're an older keeper, things are always changing and it's our responsibility to do the best for our reptiles. And the only way we know that is if we continue to learn. So there you go. What do you think? Do you agree with this list? Do you think it was kind of like silly? Tell me in the comment section below. If you don't mind, hit the like, consider hitting subscribe. Like, the way that helps the channel is immeasurable, but it just takes you a couple clicks of your mouse. A special thank you to the Patreon supporters. You guys are absolutely amazing. You guys are gonna get some really cool pictures of my trip to Costa Rica next week. Next week, holy cow. Anyway, you get stuff early, extra videos, you get discounts on the merch, a whole bunch, about animals in my collection I don't talk about. All for as little as $1 a month. You can be part of the Patreon team too. I'd really support it, and so would Diamond, he tells me. You guys think he bites my ear, but he's actually whispering. Patreon, I like the, anyway. That's enough. Because I do videos twice a week, that means that I'll see you on Thursday. Or today's Thursday, Monday. See you Monday.